Hey, shalom, shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. I'm Officer Red with IUIC Kansas City. To my right, I got
Officer Benaiah.
Officer Benaiah. To my far right, I got
Officer Asher.
Officer Asher. All right. Hey, first and foremost, let's put the disclaimer up there. Let's read the disclaimer right quick. Go ahead and read that, Officer.
We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a non-violent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat as stated in Leviticus 5 verse 1.
All praises, all praises. So today we're going to talk about COINTELPRO. We're going to talk about COINTELPRO. The title of the class is COINTELPRO, Yesterday's Plot to Destroy Reputations, Today's Plan. What we realize as we coming back to this understanding of the Bible, we starting to see some of the tactics that are used today on us were from the past. All right, our enemies, when they took our Bible, when you read in the with the Greeks, when they took over our Bible, not only was they painting our images, but they were looking at different things that past enemies were doing to the nation of Israel, and they have just refurbished it. All right, so first and foremost, let's get the definition of COINTELPRO. Let's read that right quick.
IntelPro, derived from Counterintelligence Program, 1956-1971, was a series of covert and illegal projects.
And we know this program started before 1956 because we read different articles where they was actually investigating Marcus Garvey.
Yep, that was the 1920s.
1920. So this is before that. But go ahead.
Was a series of covert and illegal projects actively conducted by the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disturbing domestic American political organizations.
And you see that right there. You got the FBI where they was surveilling, infiltrating. We read about that a lot in the scriptures, infiltrating. And another tactic is discrediting. You understand? So we have to be mindful of the things that we doing, the things that our enemies are doing to discredit our brothers and sisters. And it's a reoccurring thing. It's a reoccurring thing throughout history. And it was what was it? That last sentence right there? And to disrupt domestic American political organizations. You understand? And as you read on, a lot of these organizations, a lot of the so-called black organizations, nonviolent organizations, you know what I'm saying? And then they try to throw in the Ku Klux Klan. You understand? But go ahead, read on, the officer.
FBI records show COINTELPRO resources targeted groups and individuals the FBI deemed subversive, including feminist organizations, the Communist Party USA.
Let's look at that word subversive. Kind of hover over it. Let's read that definition right quick. Read it, yep.
Subversion refers to a process by which the values and principles of a system in place are contradicted or reversed in an attempt to transform the established social order and its structures of power.
So you got to think about this thing, man. Don't think COINTELPRO is a thing of the past. We are literally going against the structural order of society. What do I mean by that? Society celebrates Christmas. Christmas is held in a high regard. Society celebrates Thanksgiving. It's held in a high regard. The various other holidays, these things are held in such a high regard. If you go to your work, if you go anywhere and you say, hey, I don't celebrate Christmas. You looked at and you deemed as radical. You understand? As a subvert. So anybody that the FBI, to come across their desk and say, you know what, this brother or this sister is going against the social norm, you understand? Automatically a case is open. You understand? Or that political group. You gonna say something?
Just like one of the classes y'all did on the radio show, how you was talking about the digital money. Just like when they do transfer everything, make it everything digital, now they have control over your funds of whatever organization you have. Now they could just stop your funds because you're not going with the social order, the social norms.
Right. And like I said, remember what we said at first. Think about it. This organization, COINTELPRO, was created by Esau. If you don't know who Esau is, there's many classes on who he is. But it was created by Esau. Give me that scripture in Esther. Now I want the one in Esther. You know what I'm talking about? In the Apocrypha. This nation. Talking about Haman. Haman was an Edomite during the Persian captivity. I want you to, when we go into the scriptures and we start to understand what's going on, listen to the wording when he gave a report against the children of Israel. Watch. You got what I want?
Yes,
Go ahead,
sir.
read that.
The rest of Esther, chapter 13, verse 4.
Go ahead.
Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations.
So imagine this is J. Edgar Hoover of the past.
Yep.
Look, this nation right here got laws that are contrary to our laws, to all nations. You understand? Because we celebrate things like Feast of Dedication, Tabernacles, Purim. You understand? These are our high holy days when we celebrate the destruction of our enemies. But we don't realize when you're going against the social normity, you're actually celebrating the destruction of your people. This is why our laws are contrary to the laws of the social society. All right, read it again right quick.
Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forward.
You see that? Cannot go forward, meaning what? They're not going to mesh. You understand? The clay, like you read in Daniel, where it talk about, what did it say? The clay and the, what was the other element that he used? Y'all help me out. In Daniel. Get it in Daniel and read it. Daniel chapter 2, right?
And 42.
Yep, read that right quick.
Daniel chapter 2, verse 42.
Go ahead.
And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay.
Part of iron and part of clay. Go ahead.
So
this
the
is
kingdom.
talking about America. America is part iron, part strong, and then you got the clay aspect. You understand? Who's like the liberals. You know, they want to try to, on the surface, they're saying that they want inclusion. They want everybody to be on the same page. But underline, you understand, like the Democrats, underline, they got an agenda. They passing the 3 strike laws to lock Negroes completely up, throw away the key. You understand? But go ahead, read.
And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another.
And that's the point right there. They shall not cleave one to another. Why? Because you're going to have nations, all these different nationalities are coming to America, and we all got different laws, different sets of, what's the word? Values and principles. Cultures. You understand that you're trying to all get absorbed into one. And ours is against everything. When the nation of Israel, our laws is against all the laws. So we ain't agreeing with no damn body.
And just like you said, like we got all these different cultures. Like they present America as the great melting pot,
right?
Where all nationalities could come to this country and get along. But when you get to America, you will see that everything is separate. This group of people is over here. The Jewish people is over here. Right. The Arabs, they got their own communities. The Africans, when you go to Kansas City down by Independence Avenue, they got their own communities. Then you got the Negroes and the Hispanics. It's separate. There's no inclusion with each other whatsoever. And another point is in Booker T, he had that he had a Atlanta Compromise. It's one of his famous speeches. But he was basically saying we're going to be as separated as the fingers of the hands, because he was basically trying to persuade white people that, you know what I'm saying, because he was trying to get black people to do better for each other, but he was trying to get the message through white people at that time. So, but yeah, like, hey, there's no inclusion in America.
Right. And this is what the COINTELPRO, this is what we read in the definition of it. Anybody that they that they deemed that was subversive, that was against what they had established, they will open up a foul on you. And some of the tactics was they would survey you, they will infiltrate you and discredit you. These are the things that they used in the past. All right, let's read that out.
FBI records.
Yep, go ahead.
FBI records show COINTELPRO resources targeted groups and individuals the FBI deemed subversive, including feminist organizations, the Communist Party USA, anti-Vietnam War organizers, activists of the civil rights and Black Power movements, Martin Luther King Jr., the Nation of Islam, and the Black Panther Party.
Go ahead, read.
Environmentalists and animal rights organizations, the American Indian Movement, AIM.
These are our brothers. These are our GAD brothers, man, our Native American brothers. Go ahead.
Chicano and Mexican American groups like the Brown Berets and the United Farm Workers, independence movements, including
Issachar brothers. Go ahead.
including Puerto Rican independence groups such as the Young Lords
Ephraim brothers. Go ahead.
and the Puerto Rican Socialist Party. A variety of organizations.
So they didn't hold no bars. You understand? They was attacking all of us. And again, all the Israelite groups, you understand, the so-called black, the so-called Hispanic groups, the so-called Puerto Rican groups, when you examine their history, you don't find violence.
Nope.
You don't find violence in their history. With the Black Panthers, the only time you was seeing any type of violence is what? When they was trying to defend themselves.
Exactly.
From police brutality.
Exactly.
Which, today they just released on the body cam, our people, our brothers, police, beating the hell out of a brother.
Yep.
Still going on today.
Yep.
You understand? But go ahead, officer.
A variety of organizations that were part of the Brothers New Left and white supremacist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan.
And that's just something they just throw in there as a cover-up.
Yep.
You understand? To justify them infiltrating the black groups. Because we know what their agenda is. How the hell we get on the same level as the Ku Klux Klan?
Yep.
Let's be for real. You understand? So this is what COINTELPRO is. And like I said, we're going to examine the scriptures, and we're going to see that these tactics aren't new, and these are going to be the same tactics that they use on us in the near future. All right?
Hey, I also wanted to make a point. This is how you know that Esau had to know prophecy, right? Because when you examine all the groups, like you got our Hispanic brothers, but what group of people did they go hard on?
Right.
They went hard on Judah.
Jake, yep.
On Judah. They went hard on all the Black
Jake.
Panthers,
Yep.
Nation, all the Black Power movements. That's who they went hard on.
Yep, because you don't hear about them infiltrating the animal rights society. where you ever read about that from? Or the feminist society?
The feminist movement.
You don't read about that. No, but it's documented. You understand all the Jake groups. When we say Jake, we're talking about Jacob, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Go ahead, officer.
I was about to say your boy Edgar Hoover, he probably went undercover in the feminist movement.
Yeah, he probably did. Damn, you're right. And as we go on in the class, you're gonna understand what my brother is saying. All right, let's get Habakkuk chapter 2, and let's look at verse 1 right quick. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1, because the Lord gave us some insight, all right, on how we was gonna be able to start understanding this Bible. All right, let's read that right quick.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 1.
Go ahead.
I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
So this is the Lord speaking to Habakkuk. He's telling him, hey, I want you to document this stuff down, and I want you to write it on tables, that in a time, those that run, those that seek understanding, they may run and read it. Go ahead, read on.
For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak.
The vision that is going into is this Bible. He said this vision is for an appointed time, but at the end, meaning at the latter days, it's going to start to spew out understanding. It's going to start to, you're going to start to get a clear, it's going to manifest who's who. What roles are being played by these different nations, also by the Israelites. Because it's a lot of confusion about the Bible. We've been having a Bible in our homes for generations, and we never understood, one, Christ was a black man, that Christ only died for one group of people. That's one of the biggest misconceptions in society. Everybody riding around with John 3:16 on the back of their car, and they got no idea that that's going into him dying for a nation of people. Everybody got Matthew 6:9, the Lord's Prayer, and you have no idea that you praying for your destruction. But this is why I said in these latter days, it's going to start to speak. All right, read it again.
For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry.
It says, though it tarry, just wait for it. Give me Daniel right quick. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 9. We're going to come right back. Though it tarry, because, you know, it might appear during a time where we didn't know our nationality. We didn't know our history during the civil rights where we just read what all our brothers was coming together. That was us just coming back to our identity. Remember, we went through hundreds of years of slavery where they stripped us from everything. So in the 50s and the 60s, it was prophesied that guess what? We was going to start to stand on our feet. We was going to start to have that identity and stand up for ourselves. But we were still missing one thing, which is the breath, which is the commandments of God. But watch this. Let's read that.
The book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 9.
Go ahead.
And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end.
And this is the same thing that he told Daniel. He said, listen, go your way. Daniel, through regeneration, he was going to keep coming back. He wasn't going to understand. He wasn't going to understand who he was, what his nationality, who his people was. He said this word was sealed up for a time. Read on.
Many shall be purified and made white and tried. But the wicked shall do wickedly.
Go ahead.
And none of the wicked shall understand.
It says none of the wicked in these last days, when it starts to speak, they're not going to understand. This is why when you go to your mother, your father, your cousin, your auntie, and you try to explain to them, hey, Christmas is not of the Bible. Let's read Jeremiah 10 and 1 and down. And you literally read about the cutting of the tree out of the forest, decking it with silver and gold, and then your cousin look at you and say, well, hey, you know what? I don't see that as Christmas. And you're like, how the hell do you not see that? Because you can't celebrate Christmas. Why? Because it was prophesied. What did it say? Read it again.
And none of the wicked shall understand.
It says if you live in a wicked life, if you live in laws contrary to this Bible, you're not going to understand. Read.
But the wise shall understand.
But those who are upset with the oppression of their people, they're going to start to understand. They're going to take a second look at this book. As they see the prophets out hitting the streets, bringing forth this understanding, they're going to say, well, wait a minute. Okay, I have been lied to. Christ, they did tell me Christ was a white man, but now you're reading, he's black. Job is black. Solomon is black. Hell, I didn't know none of this. I remember when I was watching the understanding come out by the prophets, bro, camp video. And a brother brought out Job 30 and 30. Messed my whole world up, bro. Y'all literally paused the video, ran out, got my Bible, had to go to the table of contents. Where the hell Job at? You understand? Then found it, verse 30. Damn, I am black. Yep. You understand? And that intrigued my mind to, okay, what else are these brothers saying? This is what it's saying. Hey, the wise that are hearted, those who understand oppression, who are mad with oppression, these are the wise brothers that's going to look back at this Bible, the wise sisters that's going to take another look at this Bible, and they're going to start to understand it. They're going to start to keep these commandments, understand the value of being an Israelite. All right, let's go back to Habakkuk. Anytime, officer, you got some, jump in. Go back to Habakkuk right quick. Read verse 3 again.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time.
Go ahead.
But at the end it shall speak.
It said it's for appointed time. This is why we're getting this understanding right now. This is the time. The time is right now. And it's high time that we wake up because now we understanding the Bible. It's letting you know this is the appointed time. Read.
And not lie.
And it said it will not lie. If he tell you that Esau, the devil that the Bible speak of, it's not a lie. If he tell you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are God on this earth, it's not lying. You understand? Read. Come on.
Though it tarry, wait for it.
Go ahead.
Because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
Read.
Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him.
And you know what's heavy about this? When you're reading this, it says, though it tarry, just wait for it because it won't lie. What you're going to start to realize, the spirit inside of Esau is not right. Once this Bible, this is what it's saying. Once this Bible starts to speak, you're going to realize the spirit inside this man is not right in him. And it's never been right in him. Read.
Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him.
Go ahead.
But the just shall live by his faith.
And that's the next part you're going to understand. We understand that Esau's spirit is not right. But also, if you are Israelite, according to the Bible, you got to live by faith. You got to live by faith. If you want to call yourself just, keeping the commandments of God, you have to live by faith. So in the end of these, at the end time, this appointed time now, we're starting to see, okay, all the plots, all the secret persuasions that this man has done throughout history. And now it's starting to speak and it's starting to come to life. All right, give me Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 right quick. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
So the scriptures is saying, listen, ain't nothing new under the sun. The thing that have been, that thing shall be. Speaking about man, give me that precept right quick. Ecclesiastes 3. 3 and 18, right? Let's read that right quick. Is that what I want? I'm shooting from the hip. Let me look at it. Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 10.
Ecclesiastes 6 and verse 10. That which hath been.
That which have been, talking about man, is going to explain it. Read.
Is named already.
It's already named. Go ahead.
And it is known that it is man.
And it is known that it's a man. It's named already. It's known that it's a man. So that thing that was, it's the same thing that shall be, that man. Through regeneration, we just keep continually coming back. This is stuff we didn't know when we was in the world. When we was celebrating Christmas, we was celebrating our oppression. We didn't know this. But now as this Bible is speaking, we start to understand regeneration is real. You understand? And if you want more in depth, there's classes on it. All right, go back to Ecclesiastes 1 and 9.
Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done.
It says, and that which is done is the same thing that shall be done. Give me Wisdom of Solomon 14:27 right quick. What's the thing that was done that's going to be done in these last days? Wisdom of Solomon 14, and let's look at verse 27.
Wisdom of Solomon 14 and verse 27. For the worshiping of idols, not to be named, is the beginning.
Is the what?
Is the beginning.
Is the thing that was done, read?
The cause and the end of all evil.
And it's the same thing that shall be done. Evil. Worshiping of idols, our people heavy in idolatry, going against the commandments. That was the beginning, that's the middle, and that's the end. You know what I'm saying? Of all sin, of all evil. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes. So what we bringing out, we trying to show you, we shaping the class and letting you know, listen, ain't nothing new under the sun. Nope. This same man who came up, J. Edgar Hoover, who came up, the Lord put a spirit on this man to come up with COINTELPRO. This is the same man of old that you read about in Genesis. You understand? This is the same man that you read about in Samuel. When you read about in the Persians, this is the same man and the same tactics that he's using. It wasn't a new thing. You know what I'm saying? The Lord just gave him his remembrance. Look, you hate these Negroes. You understand? You remember you was in Persian. Your name was Hammond back then. You understand? Now it's the same tactics. I need you to implement these tactics today.
Perpetual hatred.
Go ahead. Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes.
Read it 1 and 9 again.
Chapter 1 verse 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
And there's no new thing under the sun. Give me 2 Ezra 5 and 2 right quick. Watch this. 2 Ezra 5 and 2. Remember, this Bible is starting to speak in the last days, man. We just got to sit back, keep these commandments. That's how we get understanding. And believe the Bible, because the scripture says it shall not lie. Read.
2 Ezra 5 verse 2.
Go ahead.
But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest.
Remember, our brother Ezra was in the Persian captivity. He was in the Persian captivity. The angel was telling him right now, all the evil that you experienced prior to this is going to increase as you go forth. You understand? Read, come on.
Or that thou hast heard long ago.
Even the evil that you heard long ago that you might not have witnessed, Ezra, is going to increase. How is it going to increase? By the hands of Esau. Give me Revelations 13. Revelations 13 in verse 1 and 2. Watch this.
Revelations chapter 13 and verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea.
The beast is going into man. Hold this. Give me that's Ecclesiastes 3.
3:18.
Okay, all right. I knew I was somewhere with it.
Yep.
Give me the beast. Ecclesiastes 3:18.
Ecclesiastes 3 verse 18.
Go ahead.
I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men,
Go ahead.
that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
So the sons of men are beasts. So when go back to Revelation, when John was writing his writings, he seen a man come out of the nations, and he described him as a beast. He's talking about Esau. All right, read. Go back to Revelations. Read.
Revelations 13 and 1.
Go ahead.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast
Saw a man, read,
rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads.
having 7 heads. Those are the seven common markets. You understand the 7 Edomite powers, read.
And 10 horns.
And 10 horns, read.
And
The
upon
10
his-
the 10 horns is going into the EU. You understand? You got the EU, which is the economic, and then what's the military? The NATO.
Yep.
You understand? The 2 branches of the EU. The EU, which is going into the economic power, and NATO going into their military power. Those are the 10 horns, read.
And upon his horns 10 crowns. And upon his heads the name of
So
blasphemy.
John is describing this man coming out of the nations.
Yep.
All right, read. Come on. He said his name was lies.
Lies. Yep.
Blasphemy. Go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear,
Go ahead.
and his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
Now stop right there. Now, notice how John is describing this man. He said he had a leopard. He said he was like a leopard. His feet was like a bear, and his mouth was like a lion. John is describing this man with the same characteristics as Daniel when he was describing the different nations that was coming up into power. When you had the leopard talking about Rome or talking about Greeks, when you had the bear going into the Persians, when you had the lion going into the Babylonians. This man took on all these characteristics and increased evil on this earth. This is what the Lord told Ezra back during the Persian captivity. The evils that you see right now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because when this man comes to power, he's going to engulf all these nations. What this nation did to the children of Israel, okay, you know what? This worked. What this nation, what did the Persians do? The Persians, they used different tactics. Okay, that worked. Let's pull from them. You understand? What did the Assyrians do? The Assyrians, they took our northern kingdom brothers and sisters by chains and shackles and made them walk across the lands and changed their name. So, okay, that worked. So let's implement it here. These are the evils that are multiplying upon this earth, and John described it perfectly in the book of Revelations. You going to say something, officer? All right, read that again. Revelations 13 and 2.
13 and 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
So he's describing, he took all these characteristics from these different powers, and he's put all of them into his one power, which is America. Read, go ahead.
And the dragon gave him his power.
And the dragon, which is the devil, Satan himself, it says Satan gave him his power. So we wonder how Esau is able to use witchcraft, technology. That's because he's working with Satan himself. This cell phone, as you get understanding, you understand this is witchcraft. This is a form of witchcraft.
Yes.
You know, you could be all the way across the country and FaceTime a brother. There's 4 hours behind you. You understand? Live. That's witchcraft. That's witchcraft. You understand? So this is how he's able to use this technology to further this country, to further Babylon. You understand? Read. Is that
And
it
the
on
dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
and great authority. So he gave him these things. So as we examine the scriptures, you start to see how he came into power, how he rose. Why does Esau think the way he think? Why did he tell Habakkuk, hey, his spirit that's in him, it's not right. It's not right. Now watch this. Let's go to 1 Samuel 22. Let's read some history. Let's go to some history. Because like we said, hey, COINTELPRO, this spying, infiltrating, discrediting, this is nothing new. It's nothing new under the sun. We just got to come back to our history records, and we'll see it clearly. It won't lie. You got what I want? 1 Samuel 22?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
1 Samuel 22, verse 1.
Let's start at verse 9.
Verse 9. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which was set over the servants of Saul, and said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Abimelech the son of Ahitub.
So this is Doeg. This is Doeg, an Edomite. You understand? Saul was going around vexing these other nations, and he's taking some of these nations captive. We're reading about one of his captives, Doeg, who he set over his servants. So you got a slave, and you employing him. You understand? He's a taskmaster. Yep. All right. So he's basically telling right here, hey, I seen David come when David was being persecuted by you. Come to the priest. All right. This is what we're reading. This is the history that you're reading. Read.
And he inquired of the Lord for him, and gave him victuals, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Then the king sent to call Ahimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests that were in Nob. And they came all of them to the king. And Saul said, Hear now, thou son of Ahitub. And he answered, Here I am, my lord.
So now this is Saul summoning the priest to him. Now watch what Saul says. Listen to the wording. Read.
And Saul said unto him, Why have you conspired against me?
What did he say?
Why have ye conspired against me?
He's talking to the priest based on the allegations that Doeg made when he was helping David from being persecuted by Saul. You understand? This is what we're reading. He's saying, look, why are you conspiring against me? How would he know that he's conspiring against you? Because why? They had been infiltrated. You was infiltrated by Doeg, the Edomite. Yep. This is something that's not new. Go ahead.
Thou and the son of Jesse, and that thou hast given him bread and a sword.
Because David's on a run from Saul. Go ahead.
And has inquired of God for him, that he shall rise against me to lie in wait as that this day. Really? Then Abimelech answered the king and said, And who is so faithful among all thy servants as David, which is the king's son-in-law, and goeth at thy bidding and is honorable in thy house?
Man, who the hell is so honorable? You trying to kill this brother? Ain't nobody more honorable than David. You understand? He's posing a question to Saul. Go ahead.
Did I then begin to inquire of God for him? Be it far from me. Let not the king impute anything unto his servant, nor to all the house of my father.
So he's telling him right here, ain't nobody more faithful than David. I'm supposed to inquire from God. Be this far from me. I'm not conspiring against you. I'm doing my job. I've been watching David go in and out. Who's more faithful to you than David? Go ahead, read.
For thy servant knew nothing of all this, less or more. And the king said, Thou shalt surely die, Ahimelech, thou and all thy father's house.
Go ahead, watch this.
And the king said unto the footmen that stood about him, Turn and slay the priest of the Lord, because their hand also is with David, and because they knew when he fled, and did not show it to me. But the servants of the king would not put forth their hand to fall upon the priests of the Lord. And the king said to Doeg, Turn thou and fall upon the priest.
Who did he say to go kill the priest?
And the king said to Doeg,
because remember, the servants is like, man, we're not killing these priests. He didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah. So who did he go to? The so-called, not so-called, but the Edomite. Yep. Read.
Turn thou and fall upon the priest. And Doeg the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priest, and slew on that day 75 persons that did wear.
So you got to think about it, man. No hesitation. No hesitation to kill the priest. You understand? But watch this. Read verse 22.
Verse 22. And David said unto Abiathar,
which is his son, right?
I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there.
David said, look, I knew when I saw that damn Edomite, it was going to be trouble. It's going to be some infiltration going on. Go ahead.
That he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house.
He said, I have provoked. So David humbled himself. Yep. He said, man, I knew when I seen that enemy, it was going to be infiltration. It was going to be discrediting of this man, of the priest. Innocent blood. What are we reading? The Bible. Yep. We're reading a snippet of COINTELPRO out of your history book. Yep. You understand? From there, give me 2 Kings right quick. I just want to give you some examples. Before you read that, get 2 Samuel 10 and 1. 2 Samuel 10 and 1. We're going to just go through history. Then we're going to get into it. Go ahead.
2 Samuel 10, verse 1. And it came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead.
Go ahead.
Then David said, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me.
So here you got the other nations. His father had died in battle. David said, you know what? I'm going to show mercy on him because his father showed mercy unto me. Humble himself. Now watch this, read.
And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the princes of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun their lord, Thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father?
Listen, I want you to understand something. The other nations know something that we forgot. Listen to what they saying. They going to the king. This they king. You think he's sending servants to honor your father? Read, watch this.
That he had sent comforters unto thee? Had not David rather sent his servants unto thee to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it?
What did the other nations understand? This is a war tactic. This is a war tactic that has been used for generations. And King, David might be pulling a fast one on you. You understand? You think he's sending servants to comfort you. He's sending servants to spy, to infiltrate us, to discredit us. You understand? This is what we lost when we lost this Bible. We lost this history. But the other nations understand that. You understand? Did you read verse 3? Was that the end of it?
Yes, sir.
All right, from there, give me 2 Kings 20 and 12. And we're going to get into it. I'm just showing you through history, COINTELPRO is nothing new. It's nothing new. This is a thing of old. This is why the Bible says, hey, this prophecy shall not lie. Read what you got. 2 Kings chapter 20 and verse 12.
2 Kings 20, verse 12. At that time, Beroddabadan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present unto Hezekiah.
So now we're reading about King Hezekiah now. Watch this, read.
For he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick.
You got the other nations sending letters to King Hezekiah. Go ahead.
And Hezekiah hearkened unto them and showed them all the house of his precious
now
things.
You got the simple Hezekiah. He's sick. Get the letters from the other nations. Nobody around Hezekiah said, hold on, you think he's coming to give comfort to you? Is he not coming to infiltrate you, to spy out our city? Hezekiah then showed everybody every damn thing. Read.
And showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not.
You see how simple we was, man? This is how simple we was. The brother, King Hezekiah, it's a king.
A king.
Then showed the servants. What the hell he doing talking to the servants? You should have somebody in between you and the servants.
Exactly.
He's showing them every damn thing. But watch what the prophet said. Read.
Then came Isaiah.
This is the same Isaiah that you read about in the book of Isaiah. Read.
The prophet unto the king Hezekiah, and said unto him, what said these men?
Said, what the hell do these men say? This the only brother with sense. Remember, the wise gonna have understanding. Go ahead, read.
And from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, they are come from a far country, even from Babylon. And he said, what have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, all the things that are in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them.
You got to think about it. You know, when you read this history, you got to just put yourself there, man, with Isaiah. Imagine Isaiah listening to the king say these things out of his mouth. You know what I'm saying? You know how you got that, what they call it, the emoji?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He like this, like, bro, what the hell is wrong with you? You didn't show them everything. And King Hezekiah, he boasting. I didn't show everything I've showed him in my dominion.
Black people always want acceptance from the other nations.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Go ahead.
And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord.
How would they know everything in his house? How would they know what's all in his house?
Yep.
You understand? And to carry that to Babylon.
Yep.
Because they went and spied it out, infiltrated it, discredited it. These are the same tactics.
Yep.
So when Nebuchadnezzar come along, hey, he taking every damn thing.
Everything.
Hey, hold on, wait a minute. You forgot the menorah. How you know the menorah was there? The servants just told me.
Yeah, I seen everything.
I seen every damn thing.
Yep.
You understand? How many princes you got over there? You got 7. Wait a minute. My servants counted. You had 8. There's 1 left.
Yep.
Where he at? You understand? He showed him everything.
And think of the mindset of black people, because if it was another black person,
Damn.
you already know. You ain't showing them everything. This Negro might rob you.
He might rob.
You show the white man, hey, white man taking everything. Obadiah.
So what we reading? We reading history. Give me Luke 16:8 right quick. This is why Christ said this right here. Luke 16:8, and then let's get that article.
The book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 8.
Go ahead.
And the Lord commended the unjust steward because he had done wisely. For the children of this world,
Listen to what Christ says. Go ahead.
for the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light.
Christ let us know that guess what? The children of this world, these other nations, man, they are wiser than sometimes than the children of the light. Who are the children of the light? Us that's supposed to have this Bible, have this understanding. You have these nations that have more common sense to know different war tactics, to know how to execute these war tactics than the children of the light. And this is why these things keep happening over and over and over. Think about the brown berets. Think about all these, all our brothers that stood up during the 60s.
Yep.
They all fell using the same things.
Same things. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The same infiltration, discrediting.
Yep.
They gave the Mexicans jobs.
Yep.
When they said, "Amano, we give you this government job. We got for minimum wage. I'm out of here."
They did it to black.
They did it to black people.
They gave Angela Davis. She had
Panthers.
she became a professor at a college.
Yes.
Your boy Bobby Seale, same thing. They gave them all jobs.
You see that? These are the same tactics. This is why Christ said, "Hey, the children of the world, they wiser than the children of the light." Because if you take a step back and you start to understand your enemy, you won't fall. This is why I didn't have this, but give me Judges right quick. I don't think I had it in here. I might be jumping the gun, but it is what it is. Give me Judges chapter 3, verse 1.
Judges 3, verse 1. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them.
What did he do?
To prove Israel by them.
So the Lord didn't destroy all the rest of the nations because he wanted to prove Israel. And another thing he wanted to do, watch this, read.
Even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan.
Because we didn't know all the wars of Canaan when we came out of Egypt. We didn't know it. So he said, you know what? I'm gonna leave certain nations to prove these brothers. Read, watch this.
Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know.
Go ahead.
To teach them war.
To do what?
To teach them war.
You know what word we always skip over when we read that? It said the generations. From generation to generation, we supposed to learn different war tactics from these other nations. That's heavy. And we skip over that. You just be reading it. Like, but no. Read on. But no, from generation to generation, you supposed to sit back. Okay, you know what? I seen this before. I seen that tactic before. You understand? This is how we know that they right in here. But we ain't gonna jump. Let's get to the article. Let's go back.
Hey, can I pull something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ezra. I'm not sure. Did you have Ezra?
Nah, go ahead.
Okay, let's go to Ezra 4 because I just want to prove 2 points. Basically, how they infiltrated us just like they did during the Persian Mede time, and at the same time, how they, like you said, they opened our book. They went, we're going to use the Greeks, what the Greeks did. We're going to use what the Persian Medes did. We're going to use what the Babylonians did. So let's start at Ezra chapter 4 and read verse 1. We jump down.
Ezra 4, verse 1. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel.
So read that one more time.
Now when the adversaries...
When the what?
The adversaries.
So at this time, black people knew we had adversaries. We knew we had enemies.
Right.
But today, the black and Hispanic man thinks everybody his friend.
Yep.
We had enemies. Keep going.
Then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you.
So guess what? Now the other nations, they want to come. Hey, let us join your organization. Can we join IUIC?
Yep.
Can we build with you?
You got other Israelite camps that allow these other nations to come in.
Yep.
That hasn't learned. They didn't learn from our forefathers.
Bring it out.
Go ahead though.
Let us build with you, for we seek your God as ye do.
Uh-huh.
And we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Asheradon, king of Ashur, which brought us up hither.
Mm-hmm.
But Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God.
So this should have been the mind of the Black Panther Party. This should have been the mind of the Young Lords. Hey, you have nothing to do with us. SNCC, AIM, all these groups, this should have been the mindset. Y'all cannot build with us. Because if they knew the history of this Bible and knew what these other nations did, they would have been like, nah, if we let you join, this is not going to prosper. Keep going.
But we ourselves together will build unto the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, hath commanded us.
Hey, this is black unity. Black and Hispanics, we need to stick together and build our own infrastructures. You do not need the influence of the white man. And that's the changing of the mindset because, you know, we always want government assistance. We always want a loan, a handout from the government instead of us gathering together, working together, putting our money together to build our own communities. Jump down right quick. Verse 15. I think
Verse 15. That search may be made in the book of the records of thy fathers. So shalt thou find in the book of the records and know that this city is...
verse 11 right quick. Then jump to verse 15.
Verse 11. This is the copy of the letter that they sent unto him, even unto Artaxerxes the king.
So this is the king of the Persians and Medes. So he had got a copy of our book. Go ahead.
Thy servants, the men on this side the river, and at such a time.
Keep going.
Be it known unto the king that the Jews which came up from thee to us are coming to Jerusalem, building the rebellious and the bad city.
And when we come together, this is the mindset of the other nations. This is rebellion.
Right.
The Black Panther Party, you going against what we doing, the oppression that we handing to you.
Subvertness.
That's rebellion. When you read them slave documentaries, you know what they call the slaves that try to get free? That's fighting to get freedom. They call them dissidents. Dissidents. Can you look up that word right quick, officer? I'm not sure if you could put that up there right quick. They call the slaves that try to fight for freedom, they call them dissidents. Look at what this word means.
Dissidents, a person who opposes official policy, especially that of an authoritarian state.
So this is what they call ex-slaves. They call them dissidents instead of saying these are people just trying to get free. They give them names, dissidents. But this is the mindset of our forefathers. They said that the other nation said, hey, them coming together, uniting as a nation, this is rebellion. And he called it a bad city. Keep going, Asher.
The rebellious and the bad city, and have set up the walls thereof and joined the foundations.
So, but this is just a record. Y'all can read this on your own time. But this is the other nations
sending a letter to the king.
And they using, they like, you need to go inquire in their book. This is a rebellious city. This is a bad city. This is bad for business.
Yes.
So, yes, sir.
Yep. That's a heavy point. Give me that first article. The FBI set of goals for COINTELPRO. Watch this thing. Like I said, it's nothing new under the sun. Go ahead, though.
The FBI set goals for COINTELPRO. Under Director J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's COINTELPRO counterintelligence program was aimed at investigating and disrupting dissident political groups within the United States.
Right there again. Yep.
In the 1960s, COINTELPRO...
And who the hell want to... You got to think about it. They calling the slaves dissidents, right? Yeah. That's going against... that's somebody that's going against the official policy. Yes, who the hell want to be in slavery? That was the policy of that time. That's what Donald Trump, when he say make America great again.
Break it out.
When was America great? when we was in chains.
Yep.
When our brothers and sisters were dissidents, where they was going against that. Don't nobody want to be a slave. You understand? Except for 2/3 of our people.
Bring it out.
But go ahead, though.
In the 1960s, COINTELPRO's targets frequently included civil rights activists, both those who espouse non-violence, like Martin Luther King, and those that Hoover referred to as black nationalist hate groups, like the Black Panthers. This document outlines the program's goals in attempting to limit the effectiveness of such groups. In practice, the FBI used infiltration, legal harassment, disinformation, and
Go ahead.
and sometimes extra legal.
Hey, hold on. Look up that word, disinformation. Look up this word, man. Disinformation. You know a lot of us didn't pay attention in school. Disinformation. Read that.
Disinformation, false information, which is intended to mislead.
False information, which is intended to mislead somebody. You just throwing something out there about a group to mislead, to deter other folks from coming and joining in.
Yep.
But go ahead, read.
Especially propaganda.
Propaganda, where they just do something over and over. I don't know if y'all seen, I'll be at night. I work nights. So a lot of times during what they call them, infomercials or something like that.
Yeah, infomercials. Yep.
A lot of times they be showing these commercials or whatever of anti-Semitism, and they like back to back to back now.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
This is the propaganda. They starting to set it up. So when they come for full attack, they already then persuaded the masses against us.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
But go ahead.
Especially propaganda issued by a government organization to a rival power or the media.
All right, let's go back.
Hey, and that disinformation also goes into, I'm not sure if you got it in these articles, but like let's say you the head member of this chapter of the Black Panther Party. In another chapter, they sending you false letters.
Yeah, back and forth.
Making fake letters that they wrote, making it seem like Officer Red wrote this to me and causing a disturbance in the party.
Yep. That's ultimately how the party fell. Well, go ahead, though. Go up a little bit, officer. Goals. Did you finish it out?
No.
Go ahead.
In practice, in practice, the FBI used infiltration, legal harassment, disinformation, and sometimes extra-legal intimidation and violence against King, the Panthers, and other black activist groups in its attempt to discredit and disrupt them.
And this, we're going to touch on that legal harassment. Legal harassment, you understand, that disinformation, what else? And legal intimidation.
Yep.
You understand? That's another heavy point. But go ahead, though.
Goals.
These are some of their goals.
For maximum effectiveness of the counterintelligence program and to prevent wasted effort, long-range goals are being set.
This is something that was well thought out.
Yes.
Yeah, we going, as black folks, man, we going to things without a plan. You understand? Blind.
Yep.
Nah, this man sit back, just like we read throughout history. They sit back, write letters to the king. Listen, do your research. This is a rebellious group. You understand? J. Edgar Hoover sitting in his office. You know what? I need some goals for some guidelines, so we just ain't out here wasting resources.
Yep.
You understand? But go ahead.
Hey,
Rick.
I ain't trying to prove you to death. Hey, give me that right quick. I think is it Micah 4 or is it Malachi?
2 and 1.
About upon their beds.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's a heavy script.
Like, hey, this just showing you like what Officer Hareb is bringing out. Everything is biblical dealing with this. Micah chapter 2 verse 1.
The book of Micah chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity.
It says, woe to them that devise iniquity. Talking about your friendly neighborhood white man. Go ahead.
And work evil upon their beds.
And this is what Officer Reb is bringing out. They work evil upon their beds. They have plans planned out from decades. Keep going.
When the morning is light, they practice it.
When the morning is light, they practice it. Go ahead.
Because it is in the power of their hands.
It's in the power of their hands. So this just shows everything that we seeing is been planned.
Yep, we about to read it. Go ahead.
Number 1, prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups. In unity, there is strength. A truism that is no less valid for all its triteness.
So one of the things is they try to prevent unity. You understand? Amongst the black groups. This is why we push We have to be unified. Us as a people, when we coming back to this understanding, we got to be speaking the same things. It can't be no division.
Yep.
Because when we see the division, we know, okay, you got the potential to be a damn informant.
Yep.
Go ahead, though. Number 2.
Number 2, prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement.
And that was number 1 on their list.
Number 1.
Number 1 on their list. You
Prevent.
understand? To prevent the rise of a Messiah. You understand? Go ahead.
Number 3, prevent violence on the part of black nationalist groups. This is of primary importance and is, of course, a goal of our investigative activity. It should also be a goal of the counterintelligence program to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize them before they exercise their potential for violence. Number 4.
And this is why we read our disclaimer. We not a hate group.
Yep.
And a lot of other groups have a disclaimer.
Yep.
They not a hate group. We don't promote violence. But still, in the back of their mind, they just waiting on us to be violent.
And like you said earlier, like them groups, they was non-violent groups. They were just they were just saying, hey, we have the right to defend ourselves.
Right.
We're not about to just go out and wage war.
Go ahead.
Number 4, prevent militant black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting black nationalists must be handled tactically in 3 ways.
I want you to really pay attention to number 4. All right? Read number 4 one more time.
Prevent militant black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting black nationalists must be handled tactically in 3 ways.
Go ahead.
You must discredit those groups and individuals to, first, the responsible Negro community.
He said, first of all, you gotta discredit them to those upper echelon Negroes. Those are the ones that think, hey, because I live next to the Caucasian demographic, I'm good. I'm exempt from the Negroes.
Yep.
You understand? He said, first, that's where you got to discredit them. You got to discredit whatever group to them first.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Second, they must be discredited to the white community, both the responsible community and to the
He
liberals.
said both groups, those that think they're responsible and those that want liberation, those that want everybody inclusion.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Who have vestige of sympathy for militant black nationalists, simply because they are Negroes.
Go ahead.
Third, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals, the followers of the movement.
He said, then you got to discredit amongst their followers. Remember, the radical ones, these are the wise-hearted that understand you in oppression.
Yep.
You understand your oppression, but then when you take a step back and you start to see, okay, they leaders being discredited, they don't have no respectability, that will invoke you to say, you know what, I'm not going to join this group.
Yep.
I'm going to stay where I'm at.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Or even
and,
the
go ahead.
followers, like that will might.
I'm going to leave.
I'm gonna leave. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is the same thing of watch this. Give me Matthew 21 right quick. Matthew 21:45. Watch this.
Matthew 21, verse 45. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them.
But with Christ going around cutting the scribes and Pharisees up, Christ then laid out a parable so cold and clear, you understand, that the scribes and Pharisees sitting back and saying, hold on. Not only do we understand this damn parable, this Negro talking about us. Read.
But when they sought to lay hands on him,
And then they wanted to kill Christ. Read.
they feared the multitude.
What did they do?
They feared the multitude.
It's the same way of their fathers. What you're going to realize is that the evil of our people, they are following their oppressors. They have the mentality of our oppressors, of a J. Edgar Hoover. And Christ said it himself. Hold that. Give me John 8. You know what I want. 44, right? Yep, watch this. Christ said it himself out of his mouth. Go ahead.
John 4 and John 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil.
Who is Christ talking to? The scribes and the Pharisees. He said, you are of that same man who gave authority to Esau. That's your father, the devil. They have the same mentality. Read.
And the lust of your father ye will do.
Mm-hmm.
He was a murderer from the beginning.
One of the characteristics of the devil, of our enemy, is lust, of power. You understand? And he said of murder. He was a murderer from the beginning. Read.
And abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own.
Everything that comes out of his mouth, all the reports that come out against leaders, against all our Jake brothers and sisters, the AIM, the SNCC, the Black Panthers, all these things were lies. Anytime he speak, the Bible, Christ is letting you know the Negro is lying. Esau is lying. You understand? Now go back. Go back. Was that it on that?
Yeah, for he is a liar and the father of it.
And he's the father of lies. Now go back to Matthew. So one of the number 4 right there is discredit that group or this nation in the eyes of the people. Because one thing that they do, they fear the people. They fear the people. This is why they're not in full-fledged attack mode on the Israelites now. This is why this time right now, you got to get yourself together. It ain't a time to be playing. It's a time to be fasting. You understand? Building up your wives, building up the brethren. You understand? Because why? They when after they get done with they tactic of persuading the nations, persuading the people against us, you understand? It's going to be turned up. That fire is going to be turned up. And we're reading about it out of the Bible. Read.
Matthew 21:45.
Go ahead.
And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude.
They feared the people. Read.
Because they took him for a prophet.
Because all the people, all the multitude, they know that the Israelites, what the Israelites is about. In the back of their mind, they know, okay, you know, because they got cousins, they got brothers, they got sisters. In the back of their mind, they know, okay, you know, my brother, he was in that lifestyle. But now, damn, the Negro is taking care of his family. You understand? Taking care of his kids. He ain't committing no damn adultery. He's working, got a job now. This Negro never had a job. Now all of a sudden he got a job. Now he going back to school. You understand? Like, what the hell is this? You seeing the change. You understand? But the one thing, our people, they are comfortable with sin. That's the only thing that's blocking them. You understand?
I was going to say, just like every time we go out for camp, we hear people honking the horns.
Yeah.
They're excited to see the Israelites. We're the only ones that's in the streets every single day trying to wake our people up.
And they know it. They taking us for prophets. I just had a coworker a couple weeks ago. You know, I work, the job that I work at, it was about over a year ago. And, you know, you going through stuff, you know, we talking about the scriptures or whatever. And I'm letting them know, hey, you are Israelites. You know, I had put my 2 weeks in, so I was about to get up out of there. So I went straight prophet mode. You understand? So now I'm telling him, hey, you are Israelite, blah, blah, blah. You know, he like, nah, I don't believe all that. And I'm like, all right, one day you're going to know it was a prophet among you. And he made a little slick comment, a false prophet. And I said, all right, it is what it is. Do you know 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks ago, the same brother called me and was like, hey, man, what you think about the Kyrie Irving and all that situation? I see. I'm starting to understand what you're saying. Wow. You know what I mean? And I wasn't high-minded. I could have been at that moment. I could have took the alley-oop and said, I told you. False prophet. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, I humbled down. All praises. We trying to win our brothers and sisters over. You understand? Like, nah, bro. This is what we've been telling you. You are Israelite according to the Bible, and things are only going to get worse. Because why? They taking us as prophets. All right. Give me Matthew 10 right quick. Matthew 10:24.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 24. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord.
So the same way, remember, they wanted to kill Christ. So Christ is telling you, look, you as a disciple, us following Christ, we disciples. We are not above our Lord. The same tactic that they was trying to use on Christ, they was using on the disciples, on the apostles. You understand? The only reason why they wasn't taking them, give me Acts 4 right quick. And let's just get to the point. Acts 4:13. He said, look, if you following me, you're not above the Lord.
Acts 4 and verse 13. Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled. And they took knowledge of them.
Because don't they be marveling at us? Yep. because we ain't go to cemetery school. You understand? So they're like, how the hell you know this Bible?
How you pulling all them precepts?
How you pulling these precepts and talking boldly in the streets? You know, they perceive us as unlearned. Think about it. The same things of yesterday is today. But go ahead, read.
And they took knowledge of them that they had been with Jesus. And beholding the man which was healed standing with them, they could say nothing against it.
Because listen, these other nations, they know. When I talk about the other nations and our people, they know we changing lives. And they know it's nothing that you can say. How can you tell your son, hey, you know what? I want you to go back to being a liar. I want you to go back to being a thief. You're not going to say that. You're going to see him standing next to the prophets. You're going to see those miracles, and it is nothing. Hey, damn, he is changing his life. There's nothing I can say about that. You understand? Go ahead.
Say all those men they seen the last march we did. All those men changed their lives. That's the proof right there. You just seeing all these men marching in unity. That is the proof of what IUIC and what Bishop Nathaniel was doing.
Right. Go ahead. Read on.
But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves, saying, what should we do to these men?
And still, even though you acknowledging that these men are in the spirit, they changing lives, you still got the devil on you and saying, you know what? Damn, what should we do to these men? What we going to do about these Negroes? Read, come on.
For that indeed a notable miracle had been done by them is manifest.
He said it is a notable miracle. You taking a brother that is dealing with sodomy, and you know what I'm saying, and you cleaning him up with the word of God, and now he got a family. He ain't even thinking about that. You taking a sister that is coming out of prostitution, coming out of being a stripper. You understand? You changing her life with the word of God. Now she has a family, kids, and she's raising honorable daughters of Sarah. You understand? That's a notable miracle that you can't deny. But still, because the devil is on them, they asking a question. Read, come on.
For that indeed a notable miracle had been done by them is manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem. And we cannot deny it.
Go ahead.
But that is spread no further among the people.
He said, but we don't want this to spread. Go ahead.
Let us straightly threaten them.
He said, what we got to do?
Let us straightly threaten them.
Remember, the scribes and the Pharisees, Christ said, you of your father, the devil. The enemy is the enemy gave Esau his power, the devil. Yeah. Listen, Esau know we changing the lives of black folks. Yep. We changing the lives of our community. He knows it's a notable miracle. He said, you know what? We don't want this thing to spread, though. We don't want this thing to spread. You understand? And to stop the spreading, what do we have to do? Threaten them. Let's set up goals for COINTELPRO. Read, come on.
But that it spread no further among the people, let us straightly threaten them that they speak henceforth to no man in this name.
All right, I want you to jump down to verse 21.
21. So when they had further threatened them, they let them go, finding nothing how they might punish them. Because of the people.
Because of what?
Because of the people.
Because they feared the people. This is why J. Edgar had to put that tactic number 4 in place. You have to turn the people from that nation, that group first. Because the people will turn on you. You understand? You don't want 1,000, 2,000 people in the streets protesting. Hey, why you doing harm to the Israelites? You got to defame them. You got to discredit it first. You got to discredit Martin Luther King. You got to discredit the Malcolm X's, the Marcus Garveys of the world, the Ames, Northern Kingdom. What's some of your leaders, bro? Caesar Chavez. Hold on, bro.
Hey, we got crickets.
You said who? Caesar Chavez. That brother didn't know none of the Northern Kingdom.
That brother got quiet.
Come on, Officer Asher.
Brother be traveling all over the world.
All over the world. Don't know one of them, bro. You should have just said Officer Asher.
I'm focused on my reading.
All praise, man. So, but this is one of the tactics that they use, all right? All right, you could drop that. Let's go back to that right quick.
You want to finish 4? The bottom
Yeah, let's
part?
finish 4.
Number 4. Third, these groups must be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals, the followers of the movement. The followers of the movement. This last area requires entirely different tactics from the first two.
He said this last area, when you trying to discredit them in the eyes of radicals, you're gonna need a whole nother set of rules. you got to come to my office and talk to me about this. Go ahead.
Publicity about violent tendencies and radical statements merely enhances black nationalists to the last group.
And this is why they don't want to put us on TV. They don't want to give us publicity because all it's going to do is spark the minds of more people. This is what this man thought out in the early 30s. You understand? He thought this stuff out, bro. But go ahead, though.
It adds respectability in a different way.
Go ahead.
Number
Verse 4.
5. A final goal shall be to prevent the long-range growth of militant black organizations, especially among youth. Specific tactics to prevent these groups from converting young people must be developed.
And this is what they wanted to put in place because they understand, hey, man, who's going to be doing the building? Who's going to be working? Young people. Young people are going to come in. So you got to set up the elders. You got the elders that set up that's actually teaching the Bible. Then you got all these young people, energetic, that's able to come out and do the work. You understand? He said, listen, you got to stop that. You got to stop that. You got to stop that Messiah from rising up, that energetic Messiah from rising up to be able to persuade these young people, bro. All right? From there, give me the 10 things. Give me that YouTube video. We're going to start at 9 minutes and 7 seconds. All right, we're going to watch this. This is things that you did not know about Edgar Hoover, and these are some of the tactics that they used. All right, watch this.
Would you be surprised if I said that J. Edgar Hoover was the world's most successful sexual blackmailer?
Yes.
And among the information he would get would be about the sex lives of anybody who is anybody in America.
Imagine the FBI knows everything about anybody they want to know anything about.
He would get all the dirt on everybody and then sexually blackmail them.
Wow. Awesome. I would so do that if I had a government job.
Of all the presidents, Franklin Delano Roosevelt bears the most responsibility for removing all effective restraints on Hoover's surveillance powers. During World War II, FDR authorized Hoover to investigate anyone he suspected of being a communist or a Nazi subversive. The FBI planted bugs in brothels, hoping to catch foreign diplomats in compromising positions, and in this way, turn them into informants for the FBI.
All right, stop. That's a heavy point right there. Listen, one of the tactics was they was using your sexual orientation against you to blackmail you. This is one of the tactics that they use, and it was supposed to be on Republicans. They say on Republicans, officials, Democrats, government officials. You understand? To find them in compromising situations. That way, they can have their way with the government. This is why you never seen any investigations with the FBI for almost 50 years. Because they had them, you know what I'm saying, by the quote-unquote nuts. You see what I'm saying? And as well as with Hollywood. You understand? Because in Hollywood, how do you see the FBI being portrayed in Hollywood? They always blue-collar, put together, on point. You understand? That's how they portrayed in Hollywood. But when you take a layer out, you start to see, bro, there's some demonic people working in Hollywood, bro. All right, play on.
Congressmen and senators in compromising positions and feeding that information to FDR.
J. Edgar Hoover was incredibly brilliant. He would go to these presidents and say, I have this information. Unfortunately, I've gathered this information, and I need to figure out how to protect you from it, because if I know, other people might know. So how are we going to protect you from it? And he would become their ally. He understood how to get power and how to maintain it, unlike anyone I think we've ever seen in our own lifetime.
If you didn't know this, you're...
See, so this is one of the tactics. He was sexually blackmailing a lot of anybody who was anybody in America. If you was deemed to be, subversive, you understand, a file was open to you, you was infiltrated, you understand, they surveyed you, all right, so they can ultimately discredit you. And this is something especially us as young men, you know, one of the two things that we deal with in this truth is lust and money. We got to be very mindful of how we dealing, because don't think that we ain't on a clipboard somewhere, our faces, with a file open up. So the different things that we feed into our spirit, understand the FBI is gathering information against us the same way as they did yesterday. All right, to our forefathers.
I was gonna say too, like, remember then they was tapping your phone.
They was doing everything.
It's 2023 now. They don't have to tap your phone. They got your phone history, your phone records,
Come on,
your internet records,
and you can't just go to the settings.
Yeah,
delete the phone history.
Yeah, nah, they got it.
You can't just go to the YouTube.
Yeah,
delete all your history. You look at a brother's YouTube, it look like he ain't looked at nothing.
Exactly.
Look at his history. He ain't looked at nothing online.
Yep.
You understand? Because he want to hit delete. Nah, they got all that stuff. You understand? And they use it as a tactic to blackmail. Give me the next one. Yes, sir. We're going to go to 435 to 710.
Infamous victims were two of the most well-known civil rights leaders in American history, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. It all gets a whole lot worse from here. In 1963, Dr. King gave his iconic I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington. While generations of people across the world were touched and inspired by this incredible piece of history, the FBI were terrified. Dr. King was dreaming too big for their liking, and they wanted to put him in his place, that place being 6 feet below the ground. Hoover ordered Sullivan to turn his attention to discrediting and destroying King and the movement he'd come to represent. Sullivan subsequently released a horrifically racist statement. In the light of King's powerful demagogic speech, we must mark him now, if we've not done so before, as the most dangerous Negro of the future in this nation from the standpoint of communism. The Negro and...
So how do you deem Martin Luther King, who was nonviolent, who preached nonviolence, who marched, what was that, Birmingham? What was that, Birmingham, when they sicked all the dogs on him? Yeah. How you deem him the most dangerous man in American history? You understand? This is why Christ said, you are father of lies, and when you open your mouth, a lie comes. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I was about to say, because, King was, because remember, he started having conversations with Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? And he started, at the end of it, before he died, he started speaking out. I think he spoke out at that time, that Vietnam War. Yep. And they was mad about that. Yep. But yeah, King, he was peaceful, nonviolent.
Mm-hmm. But they knew, okay, if he go left, we got to get some stuff on him so we could discredit him. But go ahead, play on.
In national security, the espionage began. King's home and hotel rooms were bugged, and his phones were tapped. The FBI was listening intently to his every word for blackmail material that they could use to silence King. You're probably asking, silence him? As in pressure him into discontinuing activism and renouncing his beliefs? To which we'd answer, no. They wanted Dr. King to kill himself. In 1964, after years of collecting audio evidence of Dr. King's marital affairs, King was sent a suicide package 2 days before he was supposed to collect his Nobel Peace Prize. The package included copies of the incriminating audio, as well as a truly horrifying letter. The letter, while anonymous, is believed to some
so
to have
now, 2 days before he about to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, they send him a document of all the information that they done got about his affairs dealing with his marriage. So think about his mindset. You get all this incriminating information on you of how you having a quote-unquote affair on your wife before you about to get this prize. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, it was for him to kill himself, to do harm for himself. Yep. Because if this information gets out, he knows, damn, I'm a reverend. I got this prestige coming about, this respect. In the community. Yep. Now this information gets out. Damn, are they gonna look at me the same? Is my wife gonna stay with me? I'm gonna lose supporters. Yep. All this stuff must have been going through this brother's head at that time. These are the things we gotta learn from in these last days, bro. Go ahead, though.
Been written by Sullivan himself. It's a verbally abusive speech that opens with King. In view of your low-grade, abnormal personal behavior, I will not dignify your name with either a Mr. or Reverend or a Doctor. And your last name calls to mind only the type of king such as King Henry VIII and his countless acts of adultery and a moral conduct lower than that of a beast. The letter almost reads like the cruelest internet comment you've ever seen, complete with a plethora of personal insults and spelling errors. And much like an internet troll with a serious mean streak, the letter ends by attempting to pressure Dr. King into committing suicide. It reads, King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do. This exact number has been selected for a specific reason, and it has a definite practical significance. You are done. There is but one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation. While for legal reasons they stop just short of saying straight up, kill yourself or we'll humiliate you, the implications are crystal clear. When King didn't give in and take his own life, Cartha Deloach, the FBI assistant director at the time, began leaking the incriminating evidence to every news outlet imaginable. They were ruthless.
So now, when he didn't kill himself, now what did they do? They started leaking the information out. Give me the next one. You gonna say something, officer?
Yeah, I was about to say, like they wrote that letter like it was written by a black person. So that's how they wrote the letter. And I think you know who found the letter initially? The king didn't get the letter like himself first. His wife had got the letter first, and she read everything, and then that's when he found out about it. So imagine how embarrassing that is, though. Yeah. Your wife getting all this information of all this stuff you've been doing. But that's why we got the advantage. We got God's laws.
Go ahead. Watch this. These are some of the things that they leaked out to the public. All this, remember, the scripture says, hey, it's not going to lie. It ain't going to lie, man. This is who they are. Read that right here.
Explosive Martin Luther King document amid JFK files. A secret FBI dossier on civil rights leader Martin Luther King alleges that he had a string of affairs and other sexual aberrations, as well as links to the Communist Party.
Now, go down. Watch this. Go down. Scroll down. Scroll down. All the way down. Keep going. That's one of the letters. Read there. A slow thinker. Watch this.
A slow thinker with abnormal sexual preferences. Despite Dr. King's historical reputation as a skilled speaker, the FBI file claimed that other advisors approved everything Mr. King said. King is such a slow thinker, he is usually not prepared to make statements without help from someone, it reads.
This is how they think about Dr. King. This is how the FBI thinks about Dr. King. The same FBI that take off for his day, his national day. You understand, in January, Martin Luther King Day. They ain't going to work, but they deem him as a slow thinker that can't think for himself. You understand? But you think that your enemies love you. But go ahead, though.
Linking Dr. King to communism, it claimed, King is a wholehearted Marxist who had studied it, Marxism, believes in it and agrees with it, but because of being a minister of religion, does no dare to espouse it publicly. And in another part says, during the early 1960s, the SPUSA, the Communist Party, was striving to obtain a Negro labor coalition to achieve its goals in this country. Martin Luther King Jr. and his organization were made to order to achieve these objectives. The most salacious claims about Dr. King's sex life are contained in a dense collection of rumors in the final 2 pages.
Watch this. Read.
Miami area. And all night.
Go jump. Yeah, you can read that. That's the actual letter that they released. Go ahead.
Miami area. An all-night sex orgy was held with these prostitutes and some of the delegates in attendance.
You see this thing, man? This is what they released on Dr. King, man. He had an all-night sexcapade with prostitutes. Go ahead.
One room had a large table in it, which was filled with whiskey. The 2 Negro prostitutes were paid $50 to put on a sex show for the entertainment of guests. A variety of sex acts.
This is the actual document that they released. Go ahead.
A variety of sex acts deviating from the normal was observed. Deviating from the normal were observed. Previous sexual experiences. This activity is not new to King and his associates. As early as January 1964, King engaged in another 2-day drunken sex orgy in Washington, D.C. Many of those present engaged in sexual acts, natural as well as unnatural, for the entertainment of onlookers. When one of the females...
So what the hell would be unnatural? An unnatural sex act. Sodomy. This is what they was trying to deem Dr. King. This is why they say you have to discredit his respectability in front of the nation, in front of the people. You understand? Go ahead.
When one of the females shied away from engaging in an unnatural act, King and other males president discussed how she was to be taught and initiated in this respect. Throughout the ensuing years and until this date, King has continued to carry on his sexual aberrations secretly while holding himself out to public view as a moral leader of religious conviction.
And this is, like I said, this is why we bring it out. These are the tactics. They tried to destroy Dr. King's reputation. You understand? This is why we don't talk down about Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. These are our forefathers that were standing up for our people. That put their life on the line for our people. But what did the enemy do to show that, to remove respectability from the people? They put sexual acts. They sexually blackmailed him. You understand, Rick? I mean, what you got?
I was gonna say, because remember it said he had links to a communist party. So I think when Kennedy was the president, and what's his name? Roosevelt was the vice president. Remember, Kennedy got assassinated, but before he got assassinated, he met up with Martin Luther King, and he basically told him to stop being affiliated with whoever this Communist Party person was that he was affiliated with. And he basically warned him, like, hey, they trying to surveil you, and you need to stop messing with this dude. But I guess King didn't listen, and Kennedy basically gave him the go to surveillance him since he didn't listen. So never trust thine enemies.
Never trust your enemies. And what can we learn from this? Now, like I said, the title of the class, all right, yesterday's plot to destroy reputation is today's plan. What can you learn from this? You got to be very mindful how you moving in these last days, bro. You understand? Because you could fall victim to the same things that our forefathers fell victim to. And will you believe it? You know, will you believe it when they say that your leader is now was involved in a sexual escapade in South Carolina or some damn where, or overseas somewhere? Will you believe it? Will you believe that tactic? Or will you sit back, nah, you know what? That's not my leader. I know him. I've been around this brother. I'm proving him. I've proved this brother. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be very mindful of this. Give me 2 Ezra 8 right quick. 2 Ezra chapter 8, and let's read verse 48.
2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 48. And this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, and that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous.
So this is what the angel is telling our brother Ezra. Hey, man, you know, you marvelous in my eyes. Because why? You humbling yourself. This is why the Lord said, if my people humble themselves, give me that, hold that, give me that in 2 Chronicles 7:14, right? It's the same thing that he told our people. This is what we got to do. We got to humble ourselves. Yeah, we find ourselves in this position in captivity for our sins. Now it's time to humble ourselves and acknowledge what we did and come back to the laws. Read what you got.
2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from the wicked ways.
And do what?
And turn from their wicked ways.
And turn from your wicked ways, because those same wicked ways will be used against you. This is the war tactics that we're supposed to learn from these other nations. So he's telling you, humble yourself and turn from your wicked ways, Rick.
Then will I hear from heaven.
And then he will hear, Rick.
And will forgive their sin and will heal their land.
Now let's go on back. 2 Ezra.
2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 48. And this also thou art marvelous before the Most High.
That's how you become marvelous before the Most High, man. That's some heavy stuff. Humbling yourself, read.
And that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world.
He said many great miseries is going to be done to us that dwell in these latter days, man. One of them miseries, bro, is blackmail, discrediting, you know what I'm saying, in front of the same people that you grew up with, that know that you don't involve in certain of these activities that they're going to bring forth. These are the many miseries that we was going to have to go through, not to mention captivity, being on the plantations, our sons and daughters fed as alligator bait, coming over here on the bottom of cargo slave ships. These are the miseries that we was going to encounter in these latter days. Read on.
Because they have walked in great pride.
Because they have walked in great pride. What's the pride that they walk in that those miseries will attach themselves to? Give me that in Sirach right quick. Let's make the Bible plain. Sirach chapter 10, verse 12. What's that pride? If you continue to walk on in pride, brothers, if you don't learn from your forefathers, you don't learn from our history book of the tactics that these enemies are using, you're going to fall in great misery in your pride. Read what you got.
Sirach 10, verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departed from God, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
The beginning of pride is when you turn from God. Is when you turn from these laws and you turn from your maker. Read.
For pride is the beginning of sin.
Go ahead.
And he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities.
It says, and you wonder why strange things coming. You wonder why. Think about it. When Dr. King received that letter, allegedly, that was a strange thing to him. It's a strange calamity. Oh, damn, I got to go through this with my family. Malcolm X, you discredit, you starting to learn all the stuff that was going on with the Nation of Islam. And then they started discrediting him all over the news. You understand? These are the things he got to go through. Then you get the iconic picture of him standing in front of his house with the shotgun, protecting his house. Not violent, but being a protector. The Lord said it's a time and place for everything. We going to protect our families. You understand? Read on. Is that it on that?
And overthrew them utterly.
All right, let's go back. So this is what we got to know. We got to know these things, man. We got to know the tactics of these enemies because we're supposed to learn from it. And we're supposed to avoid it. Why? Matter of fact, give me Ephesians. You could drop that. Give me Ephesians 6 and 12. Ephesians chapter 6 and 12.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12.
Read.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
This is what we're supposed to learn from these other nations. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood in these latter days, man. Read.
But against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world.
We wrestling. We in a spiritual war, brothers and sisters. This is a spiritual war against leaders in high places. They got the ability to sexually blackmail you. Not only blackmail you in that aspect, but guess what? They know who's disgruntled amongst us. They know who's gossiping amongst us. Give me some more. They know who's murmuring, whose wives hate their husbands, whose husbands hate their wives. They know all these things. Why? This right here. You understand? This right here, and they got brothers amongst us, sisters amongst us. You know, we can't neglect that sister side. A lot of times we be focused on over here on the men. But nah, you got sisters that come in here that's trying to gather up information. Gather up information. So you one of these sisters that's sitting around talking about your husband, they going back, letting them know, you know what? This wife right here, she don't trust her husband. I think if we do this play, she'll go against her husband. You understand? And then if the husband is sitting in a position where it can affect the body, we can pull this out. You understand? And we can what's the word? We can discredit the minds of the young brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? That image, you know, in their minds. This is what the type of stuff that's going on in high places that we got to be aware of. All right, is that the end of that?
Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
That's it. All right, from there, give me Galatians, because like I said, hey, these are the same things, bro. They gonna be in here amongst us. Galatians 2 and 3. We almost done.
Galatians chapter 2, verse 3. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. And that because
of Titus, now think about it. Remember I said, they know who's disgruntled amongst us. Here you got a brother that's sitting next to Paul, you know what I'm saying? In the back of his mind, he like, man, damn, should I sacrifice? We should be sacrificing. You understand? Read it again.
But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. And that because of false brethren, unawares brought in, who came in privily to spy out our liberty.
You're going to have false brethren amongst you that's going to be able to identify that brother. Titus was walking with Paul, going to these various churches, and while Paul is telling them, look, you don't have to sacrifice no more. But in the back of his mind, he thinking, damn, I didn't come up sacrificing. I always wanted to know what it feel like to sacrifice. Wow. You understand?
He wasn't fully persuaded.
He wasn't fully persuaded in his mind. You understand? Because of what? False brethren knew knew that about Titus, and they compelled him to go against Paul. You understand? Read it again.
And that because of false brethren unawares brought in, who came in privily to spy out our liberty, which we have in Christ Jesus, that they might bring us into bondage, to whom we gave no place.
He said, to whom you supposed to give no place. When somebody come and they speaking something that's contrary to what you've been taught, you're not supposed to give no place. You're supposed to correct that immediately. What the hell you mean, Titus, we supposed to sacrifice? You've been walking with Paul. You understand that? As a Greek, that's not what we're supposed to do. He told us, don't sacrifice. The only one supposed to be sacrificing during this time was the Jews. You understand? So in today, we understand these tactics will be used by what? False brethren that come in and spy out our liberty. Read.
To whom we gave no place by subjection.
So don't give no place by subjection. Read.
No, not for an hour.
Not even a damn hour. No time. You're supposed to shut that stuff down. You understand? You got murmuring going on in the congregation. You are disgruntled. Hey, brother. Hey, admonish your brother. Admonish your friend. Apply the scriptures. And if you don't apply the scriptures, then you got to go. You manifesting yourself as a heresy. You manifesting yourself as COINTELPRO agent number 35. You understand? From there, give me 2 Corinthians 11 and 23.
2 Corinthians 11, verse 33.
23.
Verse 23. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. And labors more abundant.
So this is Paul right now. He's laying out his reputation, the things that he's been through. You understand? You think these brothers that's amongst you, that's talking, that's trying to discredit me in front of the congregation, are they ministers of Christ? I'm speaking as a fool because remember he told Ezra, you marvelous in my light because you're not trying to be praised amongst the righteous. So that's why he said, hey, I got to speak as a fool right now because this is not how prophets talk, but I got to let you know who I am in these last days. Read it again.
Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. And labors more abundant.
They ain't work more than me. Read.
And stripes above measure.
Go ahead.
And prisons more frequent. And deaths oft.
Jump down to verse 26.
Verse 26. And journeyings often. And perils of waters. In perils of robbers, in perils by mine own countrymen.
He said, in perils and troubles by my own countrymen. Have these Negroes been through this? Paul's letting us know he dealt with that. He dealt with spies amongst his people. He dealt with dangers amongst his people that was going to come in and look just like him. That only reason why they coming in is to infiltrate and to discredit. That's it. Read.
In perils by the heathen.
In perils also of the heathen. They work in tandemly together. Read.
In perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brethren.
In perils among false brethren. So we know that you amongst us. We know that that same COINTELPRO wasn't dismembered. You understand that it's still going on today. And what's our message to you? Give me Luke chapter 3, verse 7 right quick. Luke chapter 3, verse 7, because in the time of John the Baptist, guess what? You had Roman soldiers come and ask for repentance. Yep. This is how our forefathers dealt with them. Luke chapter 3, and let's read verse 7 first, 7 and 8.
Luke 3 and verse 8.
7.
Verse 7. Then said he to the multitude that came forth to be baptized of him, O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come?
Speaking of the scribes and the Pharisees, he called them vipers. That's like today you cussing them out. Right. You understand? You a snake. You a snake. That's what he's calling the scribes and Pharisees. Read.
Bring forth therefore fruits worthy of repentance.
Who told you to escape? Who told you was going to escape from the wrath that was going to come to you? But okay, since you here, bring forth fruits meet for repentance. Since you here amongst us, you got to bring forth fruits meet for repentance. Read.
And begin not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father.
And don't think just because you're an Israelite, you're going to still sit amongst us. That's not how it works. You're going to have to put in work just like the brother next to you. You understand? Watch this. Jump down to verse 14.
Verse 14.
Go ahead.
And the soldiers likewise demanded of him, saying, and what shall we do? And he said unto them,
This is our message to any of y'all that's amongst us. You understand, that are working with the government, that you know we not violent. We ain't committing no crimes. We taking care of our people. Watch what John said, read.
And he said unto them, do violence to no man.
Will you not do violence to your brother? Will you follow the Bible? It says do violence to no man, read.
Neither accuse any falsely.
And don't accuse us falsely. Give an accurate report of what we doing. Nah, them brothers is just building. Them brothers is just taking care of their families. You understand? Working with their hands, building together. Just because we not building, we don't want to build with the other nations, you know, just like our forefathers, that don't mean we a hate group. That don't mean we hate. You understand? You got to deal with the Lord. The Lord said he hates you. Deal with him. Send him an email. You got telescope all up in the sky to see galaxies and everything else. You know, you should know where to send the damn email. You understand? This don't mean that we a hate group because we want to deal within ourselves. Because we understand what these nations have did throughout history, that's detrimental to us. You understand? The infiltrating, the discrediting, that's detrimental to us. All right, read.
And be content with your wages.
And just be content with whatever they paying you. You understand? That's it. That's what John the Baptist told those soldiers, those Roman soldiers that came to repent in the eyes of the Lord. You understand? You got something, officer?
And like you said, hey, there's gonna be agents in here. Guess what? They eventually might believe.
They gonna believe.
They might believe, just like the brother that got Fred Hampton killed that went undercover. When he came in, like he saw that everything, he was like, man, these Negroes ain't doing nothing. They really doing what they say they doing. These are good people. Then remember, he started believing for a second. Then when he got that money, that's when he went off. He couldn't shake that covetousness. Yep.
Lust.
Yep.
Hey, from there, we almost done. Give me Job. I'm sorry, Job chapter 5. We almost done. So, Lord's will, y'all getting something from the class. All right, we got to learn from the generations of old, man. Learn about how they try to defame our reputation. And don't fall for the okie doke in these last days, man. And protect yourselves, brothers. This is why we got to mortify our members, man. So we won't fall into these pearls. We won't fall into these traps. All right, Job chapter 5, and let's start at verse 8.
Job chapter 5, verse 8. I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause.
This is what we got to do. We got to commit our cause unto God. We got to seek God with a pure heart, with a pure conscience. Read, come on.
Which doeth great things and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, who giveth rain upon the earth and sendeth waters upon the field.
This is the only true God. This is why all these other deities, you got Buddha, you got Islam, you got Catholicism, all of them, they glean from our book. They glean from the Bible, the one true God. Because none of their gods are gods indeed. You understand? Read, come on though.
To set up on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to
safety. You see what the Lord want to do? He want to set up on high those that are low. Right now, in the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they in a low estate. All over the world, you in a low estate. Even if you got a little money and you in the hills in California, guess what? You uncomfortable out there. You getting swastikas painted on your porch. You in a low estate. If you say the wrong thing, you could go from a billionaire to 400 million within minutes. That's a low estate. They can freeze your assets if you say the wrong thing. Imagine having to walk on eggshells. That's a low estate. You understand? But the Lord is saying, I want to put you on high. I want to put you on rulership over the nations. Read, come on.
He disappointed the devices of the crafty.
And he will disappoint all these devices of the crafty. So these things are we're not bringing this out as a scare tactic. We're bringing it out so we could disappoint the devices of the crafty. Because we think a God is an imaginary God. No. How is he going to disappoint the imaginations of the devices? By bringing it forth. The Bible is going to start to speak. We're going to start to identify who this man is in the last days. And then through generations, we learn from it, and then we apply it. We apply it. That's how he disappointing their devices. So now they can't say, okay, you know what? You cheating on your wife. They can't say you stole from your brother. They can't say that because why? You applying the scriptures. Read it again.
He disappointed the devices of the crafty.
Go ahead.
So that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
He said their hands not going to be able to perform. They're going to have to go back to their think tank and think of a whole nother device, which is from old, which we already know. As long as we keep these commandments, brothers and sisters, we good. You understand? That's why I say no evil is going to come to him that feareth the Lord. Read, come on.
He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong.
Go ahead.
They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday as in the night. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty.
This is the promise of the Lord to the Israelites. He's going to save us he's going to save us that are poor amongst these nations. When he say poor, meaning poor in spirit, he's going to save us from the mighty. We have to wait on Christ. There's nothing we can do to combat an ICBM missile. There's nothing we can do. We don't have the military might. Negroes can't even get together and start a business, let alone go against the army, NATO. This is why he's forcing us to understand this Bible, keep the commandments, and wait upon him. He's going to deliver us from the mighty. Read.
So the poor hath hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth.
Go ahead.
Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth.
He said what?
Happy is the man whom God corrected.
This is why we got to take it all joy, man. Happy are us who God has corrected, bro. We are receiving this correction. That should put a smile on your face. A joy should come about you when you're in the spirit, when you accept correction. Go ahead.
Therefore, despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty.
And we cannot despise the chastening. The things that we're going through, don't despise it. It's for a reason. It's for us to learn from. So all praises to the Most High. Lord's will. You got something, officer? You got something before we get up out? You ain't got no closing arguments, bro? Come on, bro.
Just one point.
I
just
set
one
you
point.
up, bro.
You did set me
Go
up.
ahead.
Verse 13 right quick. Say that right quick. Verse 13.
Verse
Top part.
13. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
So, like you said, hey, we don't have to do anything. It's all in the Most High's hands. Just like they put crack in the 80s in our neighborhoods. And what happened? You had the opium. Yeah. That's when it started getting into the white neighborhoods. Every device they put in our way, guess what? It backfires and it affects their community. Like, all we got to do is keep the commandments and keep building our nation up, and the Lord is going to fight for us.
All praises to the Most High. All praises. So Lord's will, like I said, man, y'all got something out of the class. You understand? We got to be very mindful of the war that we in, man. This is the condition of the battle. Mortify yourselves. Mortify your members, man, because these nations are plotting against us. You understand? So, and how are we going to defeat them? By keeping God's commandments. So all praises, like again, I'm Officer Red from IUIC Kansas City. I got
Officer Benaiah.
Officer Benaiah.
Officer Asher.
We got Officer Asher reading for us. So all praise to the Most High. With that, we say shalom.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family.